Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, remember the live stream that we had last Sunday? This one right here on your screen, where I talked about how we need to learn to live with a lower standard of living, because that's where we are headed. One of the reasons that led me to that assumption, or that notion, is that history is a wonderful teacher, because human behavior is very predictable over time. Yesterday I was scouring the internet for keywords like inflation, hyperinflation, and standard of living to see if I could find anyone else with the same notion that I have about our soon-to-be deteriorating, if not already, standard of living. I would like to share with you this article because it is much better written, and I hope that it points out to the average person who views this video that what is coming our way has happened before and will happen again. As the old saying goes, history does not repeat itself, but it quite often rhymes. Brace yourselves for the most dramatic shift in the standard of living in all of U.S. history. They are assuring us that we don't have to be concerned about inflation. And they, ladies and gentlemen, would be your mainstream media pundits, the Federal Reserve, the government, because they have everything under control. Do you believe them? The value of the US dollar has been steadily declining for a long time, and most Americans have grown accustomed to having the cost of living rise at a faster pace than their paychecks do. But over the past 12 months, an enormous paradigm shift has begun. Instead of devaluing our currency a little bit at a time, now our leaders are going full Weimar, and I would question the word leaders. Our money supply is growing at an exponential rate, and this is becoming a major national crisis. As I pointed out yesterday, it took from the founding of our country all the way to 2020 for M1 to reach $4 trillion. But then, from the start of this health crisis to today, M1 has gone from $4 trillion to $18 trillion. To call that economic malpractice would be way too kind. The truth is, it is complete and utter lunacy, and we are all going to literally pay the price for such madness. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, when these stimulus checks start hitting your bank accounts, what I would do is I would turn that fiat currency into something that's tangible, that's real, that will last you a long time, that will bring value to your life. Sadly, inflation is already starting to show up in a major way all throughout our economy. For example, most Americans have noticed that the price of gasoline has really started to shoot up over the last several weeks. Gas prices have been increasing at the pump for the past few weeks, reaching a national average of $2.77 a gallon as of Monday, which is 39 cents higher than the same time in 2020, according to AAA. A lot of people are alarmed by this, but the Federal Reserve insists that this is completely normal. You have nothing to worry about, ladies and gentlemen. The Federal Reserve has got it under control. Or do they? Meanwhile, the price of agricultural commodities have risen by 50% over the past year. The price of agricultural commodities traded on the global stage has shot up by 50% since the middle of 2020. In a new report, the bank pins the lift in the price of wheat, corn, soy, sugar, and a range of other commodities on the northern La Niña, a weakening U.S. currency, market speculators, and rising demand from importing nations. As those prices are passed along to the consumer, you will be paying more for groceries at your local supermarket. But authorities assure us that prices will stabilize once the economy returns to normal. Ladies and gentlemen, the economy is not going to return to the normal that we used to consider normal. This is the new normal. The good news is that at least the price of food is not rising as fast as the price of lumber. And have you seen the price of lumber, ladies and gentlemen? Oh my goodness. I am so happy that I purchased a very good amount of lumber before this year started. I went and I purchased all the lumber that I think I'm going to need for this season. Lumber prices have increased more than 180% since last spring. And this price spike has caused the price of an average new single-family home to increase by $24,386 since April 17th of 2020. There are so many people that have had to put their plans to build a home on hold in recent months because the price of lumber has gotten so ridiculously high. But the experts at the Fed insist that those that are warning of hyperinflation just have wild imaginations. Over the course of the past year, our leaders have pumped trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars into the system, and all of that money has to go somewhere. In such a high inflationary environment, this sort of thing can happen. Look at this, ladies and gentlemen. This is pretty incredible. A digital collage by American artist Beeple, which exists only as a JPEG, alright, just as a computer file, ladies and gentlemen, sold Thursday for a record $69.3 million, fetching more money than physical works by many better known artists. So a JPEG file, pretty much a picture on a computer that someone created, sold for $69.3 million. The US dollar is being transformed into toilet paper money, and we are rapidly approaching the point of no return. At least if our paychecks were rising as fast as the cost of living, American families would be able to keep up with the escalating prices. I've stated this several times before, ladies and gentlemen. Your salaries, our salaries, will never keep up with inflation at the rate in which they are printing money. All of the people that are getting the stimulus checks that are destitute, the main question they have to ask themselves is, why do I need this check? Why do I need this money? The same entity and or entities which created this economic crisis that's occurring right now in the United States are the same ones that are trying to bail you out. They created the problem. They waited for the American people to get ticked off and demand money so that they can bail them out of the problem that they first created. Hegelian dialectic. But of course, that is not happening, and more Americans are falling out of the middle class with each passing day. The elimination of the middle class. I don't know how long I've been barking this. They are going to eliminate the middle class. There is going to be a two-tier system. That's why I say you need to prepare yourself, because we are not going to stop it. A nation divided will not be able to stop this. We have to stick together, and we're not sticking together as a nation. In fact, vast numbers of formerly middle-class Americans no longer have jobs at all. Last week, another 712,000 Americans filed new claims for unemployment. And the number of claims continue to hover around 4 times the typical pre-crisis level. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we're not going back to what we used to think normal was. Weekly jobless claims have remained stubbornly high for months, hovering around 4 times the typical pre-crisis level, although it's well below the peak of almost 7 million that was reached when a stay-at-home order were first issued a year ago in March. There are roughly 10 million fewer jobs than there were last year in February before the crisis began. Fewer jobs, ladies and gentlemen, means higher deficits. Higher deficits eventually will mean more printing of money and higher taxes, which are two and the same. The truth is the U.S. economy is broken, and the only solution our leaders have is to print, borrow, and spend even more money. As prices soar into the stratosphere, life is going to become increasingly difficult for most Americans. If your income does not rise as fast as prices are going up, your standard of living will go down. Of course, you will be far from alone. The vast majority of Americans are about to experience a dramatic shift in the standard of living, and most of the population doesn't even realize what is happening. All they know is that more government checks are on the way, and most of them are absolutely thrilled about that. What's the old saying? Freedom dies, not with a whimper, but with thunderous applause. As we continue to recklessly destroy the value of our currency, other nations will begin to realize that a move to a different reserve currency is needed. And once the US dollar is no longer the reserve currency of the world, there will never be any going back to the good old days. We are so close to the economic endgame, and the word collapse is not nearly strong enough to describe what is eventually going to happen to us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you what. I keep putting this message out. And yes, this is a prepping channel. And this is probably some of the best prepping you can do right here. I will leave the link to this article all the way in the bottom of the description of this video so that you can read it for yourself. But be advised that everything that he stated on this article is true. We are printing like there's no tomorrow. We are printing like drunken sailors spending money at an offshore port. Last year alone, we had a deficit that was almost equal to our tax income. We almost had 100% deficit last year. I think we collected $3.2 or $3.3 trillion and we had a deficit of like $3.1 trillion. This year is going to be worse. I think I remember saying that this year we were going to have a deficit of like $7 trillion or so on a past video. And we're already on the way there. So protect yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. Purchase things that bring value to your life that will last a long time. I hope you have a good weekend. Hopefully we will see you tomorrow during our live stream at 12 p.m. Alaska time, 4 p.m. Eastern time. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper. I'm out.